The Velcor Dominion didn't fear wars. They collected them like trophies. For 12,000 years, their fleets had ended rebellions before the rebels even understood what resistance meant. So when their scanners found a human colony drifting at the edge of Dominion space, the Dominion officers laughed. And when humans tried to broadcast a distress call, the Dominion laughed harder, because they believed they had already won. They never imagined that one SOS could wake something older than their empire, something built by a species born on a deathworld. New Laconia was not a rich world, not a famous world. It was a practical world. Humans had sculpted its valleys into farms, carved its mountains into research tunnels, and turned its dry seas into mirrored solar fields. It was home to engineers, botanists, miners, and quiet families who wanted distance from the noisy politics of Earth. Captain Elias Rourke didn't want distance. He wanted duty. But duty had a habit of finding him anyway. He stood on the observation deck of the colony's small orbital station, watching the sunrise paint the planet's thin clouds gold. Below him, the Capitol dome glittered like a pearl. Then the alarm began to scream. A junior sensor tech stumbled into the deck, face pale. "Captain, unknown ships just dropped into the system. They're huge." Rourke's stomach tightened. "How many?" The tech swallowed. 300. That number wasn't a fleet. That number was a statement. Rourke ran to the command pit. The station's holographic display showed dark shapes forming a ring around the planet. Their hulls looked grown, not built, smooth and cruel, like sea creatures turned into weapons. The largest ship sat at the center like a crowned predator. The Velcor Dominion had arrived. On the surface, Governor Amora Voss watched the same display from her office in the Capitol dome. She was a former climate scientist, not a politician, but New Laconia had needed someone calm when the storms came. Now a bigger storm was falling from space. She opened a channel to the defense hall. "Marshal, status." A voice answered, steady but strained. "Orbital defense platforms are online. Fighters are scrambling. But, Governor, we are outclassed." Amora already knew. New Laconia had light defenses, enough to stop pirates, not a star empire. She looked at the families outside her window, walking between domes with shopping bags, laughing like the universe was safe. She whispered, "Not today." In orbit, High Admiral Carvex watched the human station through layered sensor filters. He was tall and sharp, plated in dark armor that gleamed with living patterns. His eyes were not eyes as humans understood them, more like cold instruments measuring weaknesses. "Transmit our terms," he ordered. A Dominion translator beam stabbed toward the human comm arrays. The message arrived on every screen, every wristpad, every public display in New Laconia. Submission is survival. Resistance is extinction. Surrender your infrastructure. Surrender your leaders. Rourke stared at the text, jaw clenched. Humans had seen this before in history books. Different language. Same meaning. He keyed a private line to the surface. "Governor Voss, this is Captain Rourke. They want you." Amora's voice came back calm, but he could hear her breathing. "They can want whatever they like." Rourke glanced at the growing ring of ships. "They'll bombard us." "They'll try," Amora said. "Captain, do we have any way to call home?" Rourke hesitated. "They're already jamming long-range FTL." Amora's silence was heavy. "Then, send a runner drone. Anything. A physical message." Rourke almost laughed, until he remembered the Dominion could tear apart any ship that tried to flee. "Understood," he said, though he didn't know how. The first shots came without warning. New Laconia's orbital platforms fired clean beams of blue-white light. For 3 seconds, the human gunners felt hope. Then the Dominion shields flared, and held. The Dominion returned fire with something that bent space itself. The nearest defense platform folded like paper, crushed inward by invisible force. Another platform vanished into a bright flash that left nothing but drifting metal snow. Rourke's station shuddered. Lights flickered. The sound of distant impacts crawled through the hull. "Brace!" someone shouted. A Dominion beam sliced through the station's outer ring. Atmosphere screamed into space. Emergency doors slammed shut. People scrambled, coughing as masks dropped from the ceiling. Rourke forced himself upright. Damage report. Multiple breaches, the tech yelled. Life support failing in sections 3 and 5. Rourke's hands moved faster than his fear. Seal off the ring. Route power to comms and engines. If we're going down loud. Below, the Capitol dome shook as the sky lit with falling fire. The Dominion wasn't trying to wipe out the colony completely. They were cutting nerves, power stations, defense depots, launch pads, comm towers. They wanted humans alive. Because prisoners were useful. Amora ran through the defense hall's underground corridor, her boots hitting metal like a countdown. Around her, engineers and soldiers moved supplies into shelters. Children clutched blankets. Parents tried to look brave. Marshal Darius Cole met her at the door, broad-shouldered, scarred, and tired before the war even began. "We can hold maybe 6 hours," he said. "If we're lucky." Amora nodded. 6 hours is enough for one thing. He frowned. What thing? Amora led him past guarded doors to an elevator that wasn't on any public map. She pressed her palm to the scanner. The elevator recognized her and sank silently into the bedrock. As it descended, Darius realized this was older construction. The walls were thicker. The air cooler. "You built this before the colony," he murmured. "We didn't," Amora replied. "Earth did." The elevator stopped at a steel door marked only with a simple symbol, a circle crossed by a line. No words. Amora entered a code with trembling fingers. The door opened. Inside was a chamber that looked like a museum and a bunker at the same time. Dusty consoles, old antenna controls, thick insulated cables running into the rock. Everything in this room was built to survive. Darius stared. "What is this?" Amora walked to the main console and brushed dust away with her sleeve. "This is what humans built when we realized space was bigger than our pride." She flipped power switches. Ancient screens woke with green text. Terra Lantern Network. Standby. Last activation. Never. Status. Ready. Darius swallowed. A distress system. "Not the normal kind," Amora said. "Not quantum. Not FTL. The Dominion can jam those. This uses old physics. Radio. Light speed. Slow, but unstoppable." Darius looked up sharply. "That could take days." Amora's eyes hardened. "Then we survive days." Above them, the Dominion's occupation was beginning. In the streets, soldiers in living armor marched through smoke. In orbit, the fleet tightened its ring. High Admiral Carvex watched the planet's lights dim as human power grids died. He felt satisfied. This was how every conquest began: fear, collapse, surrender. Then a sensor officer hesitated. "Admiral, there is faint electromagnetic noise from the surface. Primitive. Hard to isolate." Carvex clicked his mandibles in amusement. Let them scream into the void. He didn't understand what humans had learned across centuries. You couldn't jam desperation if the signal didn't need your permission to travel. Down in the hidden chamber, Amora Voss placed her hands on the ancient transmitter controls like she was touching a sleeping giant. On the screen, the prompt waited. "Transmit?" She looked at Darius. "Once we do this, Earth will come. Not with diplomats." Darius's voice was rough. "Good." Amora typed 3 simple characters that carried the weight of an entire species refusing to die quietly. SOS. Then she added the code phrase only a handful of colonies still remembered. Lantern Black. She pressed transmit. Deep beneath the planet, a buried antenna array unfolded through rock channels designed decades earlier. The signal rose into the sky like a ghost, too small for Dominion scanners to respect. But it didn't need respect. It only needed distance. It raced outward into darkness, leaping between silent relays hidden in drifting ice and forgotten asteroids. Each relay amplified the call and sent it farther. Toward Earth. Toward humanity's sleeping guardians. toward the kind of fleet the Dominion had never fought. Above New Laconia, the Velcor Dominion tightened its blockade, confident and calm. On the surface, humans bled and burned and hid and planned. And in the long black between stars, the SOS flew like a match thrown into a powder keg. Because the war wasn't over. It was just beginning. The Velcor Dominion believed fear was enough. On every world they conquered, fear did the work for them. Fear broke governments. Fear emptied streets. Fear turned survival into obedience. High Admiral Carvex had watched it happen hundreds of times. This human colony would be no different. But by the second day of occupation, the numbers on his reports began to irritate him. In orbit, the Dominion fleet held perfect formation. 300 warships, silent and unstoppable, blocking every exit from the system. From the bridge of his flagship, Carvex studied the planet below. New Laconia's lights had dimmed, but they had not gone out. Power flickered. Systems restarted. Life continued. That was not how defeated worlds behaved. Status, Carvex demanded. Commander Sireth, his tactical officer, stepped forward. Ground forces have secured all major population domes. Human leadership is unaccounted for. Resistance is irregular. Carvex tilted his head. Define irregular. Sireth hesitated. Small units. No clear command structure. They attack supply convoys, sensor nodes, patrols. They retreat before engagement can be escalated. Insignificant, Carvex said. Yes, Admiral, Sireth replied, then added quietly, but persistent. On the surface, persistence was becoming legend. Marshal Darius Cole crouched behind the wreckage of a transport skimmer, breathing slowly through the filter of his mask. Smoke drifted through the industrial district, mixing with the metallic scent of burned Dominion alloys. Around him, 7 humans waited in silence. They were not soldiers in uniform anymore. They were engineers with rifles. Farmers with explosives. A teacher holding a hacked drone controller. All of them volunteers. Darius raised 2 fingers. The Dominion convoy rolled into view, 3 armored carriers, floating just above the street, escorted by 6 bio-armored soldiers. They moved with confidence, weapons lowered slightly. Occupiers always relaxed too soon. The teacher, a woman named Leanne, whispered, "Drone ready." Darius nodded. The drone lifted silently, weaving between shattered buildings. Dominion sensors scanned for military signatures, not civilian hardware duct-taped into a weapon. The first charge detonated beneath the lead carrier. The street exploded upward. The carrier slammed into a building, armor cracking. Dominion soldiers shouted in sharp, alien bursts. Then the humans opened fire. It wasn't about winning. It was about reminding the enemy they were not safe. Within seconds, Darius signaled retreat. Smoke grenades filled the street. The humans vanished into service tunnels they had memorized long before the invasion. Behind them, 2 Dominion soldiers lay still. In the command dome beneath the city, Governor Amora Voss watched similar reports scroll across a stolen Dominion tablet. Each successful strike bought time, and time was everything. Captain Rourke's face appeared on the secure channel. He looked thinner, exhaustion etched into his eyes. "The station's gone," he said quietly. "We scuttled it before they could take it intact." Amora closed her eyes for a moment. "I'm sorry." "We got one thing out," Rourke added. "A probe. Low tech. No drive signature. Slipped past their sensors." Amora's pulse quickened. "Did it reach the relay?" "We don't know," Rourke admitted. "But it was on course." Amora nodded. "That's enough." The Terra Lantern signal continued to broadcast beneath their feet, whispering humanity's call into the void. Slow. Patient. Unstoppable. In the streets above, the Dominion began to feel something new. Confusion. Soldiers reported illness. Dizziness. Muscle failure. Some collapsed mid-patrol, their bioarmor locking as their bodies rejected local microbes harmless to humans but deadly to Velcor biology. Medical units worked without pause. Analyst Sireth brought the data to Carvex himself. "Admiral, we believe the humans have contaminated water and air circulation systems with indigenous microorganisms." Carvex stared at him. "They used biology." "Yes, Admiral. Nothing engineered. Just native organisms." Carvex felt something tighten inside his chest cavity. "Primitive." "Effective," Sireth replied carefully. Carvex turned back to the planet. "Increase purification protocols. Execute any human caught interfering with infrastructure." "Yes, Admiral." But executions did not bring silence. They brought anger. A young Dominion patrol entered a residential dome to enforce curfew. They never returned. Their armor was later found crushed inward, as if struck repeatedly by heavy tools. No energy weapons used. Just force. Just rage. The humans were learning. And so were the Velcor. In the underground command dome, Darius addressed the resistance cells via short-range burst transmissions. "They think this is about territory," he said. "They don't understand humans don't fight for land. We fight for each other. Use that." Someone asked, "What if help doesn't come?" Darius paused, then spoke honestly. "Then we make this invasion cost them more than any world ever has." Amora listened, pride and fear twisting together in her chest. She thought of Earth, crowded, divided, loud. Humanity's cradle and greatest contradiction. Would they answer? Far away, beyond the reach of Dominion jammers, the Terra Lantern signal reached its next relay. The ancient station woke like a forgotten sentinel. Solar panels unfolded. Old reactors hummed. The message amplified and leapt again, stronger now. Closer to Earth. On the flagship, a junior sensor officer froze. "Admiral, long-range background noise has increased. Pattern repetition detected." Carvex turned slowly. "Explain." "It resembles coordinated electromagnetic signaling. Extremely old methodology." Carvex stared at the data. "Can it be jammed?" The officer swallowed. "No, Admiral. It is not using FTL channels. It's light speed." Silence spread across the bridge. Carvex straightened. "Then it is too slow to matter." But for the first time since the invasion began, doubt crept into his thoughts. Because humans were not behaving like a defeated species. They were behaving like one buying time. And time, Carvex was beginning to realize, was exactly what humans were best at using. Somewhere between the stars, humanity's oldest promise was still traveling. And Earth was starting to listen. Earth did not panic when the signal arrived. That was the first mistake the Velcor Dominion never understood. The Terra Lantern message reached the outer listening arrays near Earth just after dawn. It was detected by systems so old most modern citizens had forgotten they existed. They were not flashy.